welcome to another edition of Island Tea. I am your host, Azard Gumbs.
Good morning. It's so nice to see you. I missed you yesterday.
Yes, I see that you and Jamster had quite the ball. I'm
Good
sure you
morning to
guys had a
everyone
lot
out
of
there.
positive tea.
Yes, we had quite a day yesterday, but you were missed. So welcome back.
Thank you very much. I did look into parts of the episode, so I saw that Jamster had on his camera. So I see that he made his debut yesterday.
Oh my goodness. He didn't want me to be on screen alone.
Yes.
Thank you,
thoughtful.
Jamster. Yes, yes.
So we are going to be speaking about a number of things, but before we get into the topics of the day, we like to have a little bit of what we call
Positivity.
yes, that's you, that's me, and that's what everybody is waiting and willing and earing to see.
Lovely. So this morning, I thought we would stick on the positive trend.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share this thought with you guys. And good morning to all of my listening audience. Good morning, Yohani. I hope that you're listening this morning. Your mom told me about the quote yesterday and the effect it had on you. So, and yes, he's a 5-year-old listener.
Oh wow, you
So,
have your fans.
I know. I
My
was so impressed. It also, shows why we need to be
Mm-hmm.
responsible on air.
Yes.
So the thought for this morning and the positivity for this morning is one small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. Isn't that so?
Yeah, that is so true. Like
One,
when you
just
get
one.
up and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, my day is going to be so long." You think, "No, it's going to be productive."
Exactly. One
Yes.
small positive thought in the
Yes.
morning can change your whole
Yes.
day.
Yes.
So let's start the day on a positive note and see
Yes.
how it affects the day.
Exactly. And you know what starts a good day is when you get enough sleep.
Mm.
How many of us are actually getting enough sleep? That's the thing. And
Guilty.
what are the health benefits of getting enough sleep? And you get sick less often. You stay at a healthy weight. You lower your risk for serious health problems like diabetes and
Right.
heart disease. You reduce stress and improve your mood. You think more clearly and do better in school and work. You get along better with people and you make good decisions and avoid injuries.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get some sleep then, right? Um, you know, I'm happy you brought this up because it's something I've been struggling with
Mm-hmm.
for quite some time. So I think it's a good topic. It's something that we should definitely pay more attention to. And I like some of the things that you listed. You get less sick, you're more productive. What are some of the other things that sleep affects?
Well, it makes sure that you have a healthy, you're not suffering with things like heart disease
Wow.
or diabetes, which is very important.
Hmm. And I think recently the St. Kitts Diabetes organization had
Mm-hmm.
a campaign where they were just, I guess, doing their regular checks and then just reinforcing some of the things that are important to
Mm-hmm.
us and to persons who are actually living with diabetes. But I like the fact that you also mentioned heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that we don't pay enough attention to. And imagine all of this stems from getting a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm. It is, and it's always important to have some nice sleep. And so we are going to get into some of the topics of the day. And what were some of the topics that you guys discussed yesterday? I know I wasn't here. I tuned in for a bit of it. I tuned in a bit for the traffic talk. I heard you guys talking about PLP and its convention.
Yeah, yesterday was
I
kind of
heard
busy.
um, you guys talking about a number of other things, but in case I missed it because I was so engaged during that time.
Well, I mean, it's good that you were out there working hard, right?
Yeah, I actually listened to
Um,
pieces of it after. Yes.
we touched on a number of topics yesterday. We started off with the PLP issue,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. The traffic was pretty interesting yesterday. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about license plates. And Jamster has actually come up with a way for the government to make money.
Oh,
Can you imagine
another way.
that? We also spoke about some development that Public Works is currently doing. I don't know if you've driven down the Market Street Road
Yes.
in recent times, but it's
Mm.
been kind of like a obstacle course, just dodging the potholes.
Yeah.
So I actually saw them still working on it this morning. They began the work on Sunday, and it
Mhm.
continues into today.
Okay.
So those are some of the things we touched on. But something that jumped out at me in the local news,
Mhm.
we've had a spate of shootings
Yeah.
recently.
It
think
it
there
jumped
was-
out at me as well, especially when I saw an article this morning, and I know
Right.
that we lost two
On Saturday.
on
Right.
Saturday, and I'm thinking when I saw the article this morning, like the link,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, is it that is it that it's me?
Hmm. I
Because-
honestly don't think that. I'm hoping, let's say I'm optimistic
Mm-hmm.
that it's not the beginning of
Yes.
something more intense, that it's not something that's going to be rising, that these are just one offs. And that's me being very optimistic because I think we've had quite a number for the year. I was trying to find out the amount of shootings that we've had, well, killings, I should say, because shooting doesn't necessarily end in, you know, in a fatality all the time. But I was trying to get a number just overnight because when I saw the update, it was very late. It was actually a little bit after 11, I think, last night.
Mm-hmm.
Someone sent it to my phone, and then I saw the article in breaking news. So I was trying to figure out, like, how could I get this information in such short
Mhm.
space of time? But for the most of us, the general public, we see that it's an increase.
Yeah.
And I think I listened to other shows, and I think people were attributing it to the whole peace program being basically defunct, and the people protesting, or it's a way to get the government's attention. Whatever it is, it's disturbing, and I hope that this is not, the start of something bigger. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally, it's totally alarming, indeed, because you're seeing an increase in in shootings. You're seeing an increase in killing, and
It's
there's
young
so many
people.
rumors. The person's talking about the peace program, not being in place like it used to, and maybe that might be a contributor, as you have said. I mean, it is. It's just, it's just a sad moment, and I just hope that, all the stakeholders, governments, the defense force community, we can work together to try to curb um, the killings in
You
whatever
know,
way possible.
what is disturbing to me is the victims.
Mm-hmm.
They're all young men,
Yes.
and so our society, it's now. For the longest while, we've always had like a running joke, like there's a shortage of men, there's a shortage of men.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, honestly speaking, there is a shortage of men, and it's about to get worse if this continues.
Yeah.
What does it say for our population? What does it say for our society? What does it say for our youth, the upcoming ones?
Mhm.
They need role models, they need male figures in their lives. As much as people, will have their own opinions about the role that men play in their children's lives, I still think that it is important to give them that chance where possible, and to let them know that, yeah, we still need you. You play a major role in the shaping of society. So for me, it's also concerning from that aspect, just a social aspect. I don't even understand what is causing it and how it can be curbed. I mean, of course, in society there will always be, things of this nature. That's just the way
Mm-hmm.
the world works, and we don't live in a utopian society. But there must be something that is egging this on and some way to curb it.
Yeah, another thing in the news is that police investigating death of British national.
Hmm.
The police are investigating the death of a male British national who was part of a group of about 48 other visitors on a snorkeling excursion at the Peninsula Cove at the Southeast Peninsula this morning, March 27th at about 10 a.m. More details will be provided later.
Hmm. That is unfortunate.
Well, that was
I
yesterday's
don't like
article.
when our
Mm-hmm.
tourism receives negative press, just for the main fact that it is one of our main industries and main
Mm-hmm.
money making industries. And through no fault of ours, because I did read the article, and I think they were trying to conduct an autopsy to find out if it was a heart attack or if it was natural causes
Yes.
that caused the death. But of course, the headlines are going to have a field day with it. And yes, we're going to make the news, but it's not going to be in a positive light. I must say, around the Caribbean, we've had quite a number of these incidents where, the tourist visits and then something happens and it, ends in death. And then, of course, the Caribbean is highlighted and it's not for something positive. So I'm really hoping that they get that autopsy done ASAP and that we can move on and probably push that further down in the newscast with some positivity. Because we have
Yes.
music festival coming up. The tourism minister has been working very hard to get more flights here. We have been working hard generally to get more tourists here
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the ships and flights and stayovers. I was speaking to someone in the industry and they were saying that yes, we're happy to get the tourists, but what we long for is more stayovers,
Mm-hmm.
more heads in beds, because that in and of itself will definitely boost the economy because they're staying for a longer time. So it means that more persons get a little touch from their spending power. So hopefully we can get that resolved as soon as possible and move on to something more positive.
I'm seeing
And
here.
my condolences to the grieving family. Imagine you're on a vacation and then tragedy strikes.
Yep.
So condolences.
It is very sad news. And I'm seeing here story about a 26-year-old female installed as a pastor of the Molyneux Wesleyan Holiness Church. So we have a young pastor. Her name is Tiana Bori of Newtown, and she was installed as the pastor of the Molyneux Wesleyan Holiness Church during a special service on Sunday, March 26, 2023.
Oh, that's some good news.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.
Yes, that's some little positivity.
Yeah, right? That's some good news.
Yes.
Congratulations and thank you.
Mhm.
She's 26. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever heard of a pastor that young,
Yeah,
and it's
they
a
probably have
female.
some. You probably have some young ones. Well, I don't know.
Maybe
if
they didn't make the
yeah.
news. But
But yes.
congratulations, Tiana.
Mhm. Yeah,
26 is
congratulations.
pretty young to
It
take
is,
such a bold step.
yes.
And I guess for me, it's just because, you don't usually hear of that. Like, fair enough, doctors graduate early,
Mhm.
lawyers, but it's rare that you hear of such a young person deciding that this is the path that they want and they pursue it.
Mhm.
Because I think the article speaks about her actually going off to school and studying theology and pastoral studies. And it is amazing that at such a young age she can make such a commitment. Because following this path is not easy. Of course, there are naysayers, there are obstacles along the way, just as with any other career. But
Yeah.
I feel like this is something a bit more special just because of the nature of it. And I must say the fact that she's a young lady.
And it
So-
says here in Tiana, Molyneux has a pastor that is passionate, charismatic, and classy. She has certainly come to the kingdom for such a time as this. I expect nothing but great things.
Me too.
And
Congrats
also
again.
in attendance at the ceremony was the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. He stated, "I am so proud and excited for you, Pastor Bory. I am confident that you will serve your parishioners, community, and country well." Mm-hmm.
Good job, Tiana. Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good
Stay
work.
the path.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. We'll have a little break at this point in time. Good to see that we ended the first, first little segment on a little positivity. Mm-hmm.
It's 8:19. Let's take a quick break and be back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Need some quick extra cash? Play Pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery for a chance to win up to $40,000. Simply place your bet of $1, $2, $5, or $10. Choose your preferred draw time and play style, then select 4 numbers or play Quick Pick. Visit thecaribbeanlottery.com for more on how to play and to see daily draw results. If your numbers match the draw numbers, you are a winner. Get your Pick 4 tickets today at the Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. Must be age 21 and over to play.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
It's 8:24. We're back on Island T.
Yes. Welcome back to Island T. Candy, there's something in the news about meth. It seems as though Barbadians have been using this substance. And there's an article that says Barbadians warned to stay away from meth. So Barbados has recorded its first case of meth, and health authorities are warning members of the public to avoid the drug at all costs since it could lead to their death.
Meth.
Yes.
I
Okay,
didn't
okay,
even-
so Bajans are Breaking Bad, huh?
I didn't even realize that, meth was something that we had to deal with in the Caribbean. And, it's kind of weird for me to even say that because everything that is happening overseas, we love to catch on. But
For some reason, your
just didn't even
phones are
think
going
about
crazy.
meth.
Oh, we have the phone lines going crazy.
Okay, well, here we go again.
Yes.
Voices go, not voices. what am I saying?
Island
Island
tea.
tea,
Good
what am I
morning.
saying?
Where's his loyalty?
It is still voices because it's not dumb people talking.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, great people.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Sad news to wake up on, eh?
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you something. Wheresoever there is progress, we will have negative things behind it. It doesn't have to be that way, but negative things follow progress. Now listen here. We all know the story when Jesus went up on the Mount of Olives to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Mind, Jesus went up there, Jesus, perfect Jesus, but wicked devil Satan went up there to tell Jesus, if you be the Son of God, turn them stone into bread.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he tried to distract Jesus, but Jesus could have make him an answer like this. Yes, I could turn them into bread, but very relish.
Mm-hmm.
But he just simply tell him, man shall not live by bread alone,
Yes.
but by the word of God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do all of us think it will come to pass any time in this world that all these guns, whether legal or illegal, come together in one big pile of condemnation? If that ever happened, then we could say, well, okay, we could count down some of the criminal activities. Because anything happen now, like to say, well, murder or anything like that, it doesn't have to be with no weapon. Because you see that index finger that we all have, that index finger will just touch a person one spot and kill them. That is how serious someone can lose a life out of this world. Just one touch with that index finger, the right spot, and they're dead. But as long as these guns, ammunition, all these kind of weapons here that could puncture and take the lives of living creatures, as long as they exist, crime will happen because a lot of people just don't care, They don't care what happened after. Once they get the motive complete, that's all they feel good about. When they're done, they run it up and down the place. And they ain't in no cross-country race. Anyway, that's my little take for today.
Thank
you
you.
so much for your
Thank you for
call.
your call and your contribution.
He made some interesting points. And I think just yesterday, there was another school shooting. And I say that to make reference to his point with the guns. There was a school shooting in Tennessee in a Christian school, and 6 persons are now dead, and 3 of them are 9-year-olds. Now, they haven't even made it to double digits,
Wow.
right? The suspect is a 28-year-old female, so most of the times we hear males.
Yeah.
So I was pretty shocked when I was like, what? So it's a 28-year-old female who is actually a transgender. So she transitioned from male to female. And apparently there was a lot of bitterness.
So it's a man
with,
then.
with,
So
with,
it's not a female, it's a man.
with the school.
Yeah.
I think, when she attended it, because it's a Christian school,
Yes.
of course, it was something that they probably didn't support. So she went back. She acquired her weapons, which is a constant battle in the U.S. because they refuse to pass a law to ban people from purchasing assault rifle weapons or assault weapons. And so she went back to the school. She had a manifesto and everything. Her house was stocked with guns. I guess she was planning a big war. Went into the
Wow.
school and shot 2 teachers and these 3 children, and then the police took her out. But I say all of that again to refer to the guns and the violence, because it's happening in schools, it's happening in our communities. I think last week we touched on an incident in Guyana with violence in the school where the student attacked the teacher. And now the whole thing is made viral because the teacher came back at him with a cutlass. And so now the Ministry of Education is looking into it, and they're also looking into the safety of teachers because there's been a spate of these incidents in the Caribbean. So thankfully we don't have to deal with school shooters, but you know, the way the world is going, I don't even want to finish that sentence or that thought, but it's something that we really need to get a handle on. Students attacking teachers, parents going into the school attacking teachers. It seems as though the entire world has gone mad, and we're all in this rage. The anger is above normal limits. I mean, of course, you know, there's nothing perfect. People do get angry, but the way they're choosing to deal with it, with the guns and the lashing out and the cutlasses, it's just a little bit too much at this point in time. Makes me wonder what is really taking hold. I mean, are these really the last days? Because what in the world is going on? You know, last night I'm in bed, my phone disturbed me. It's this young man that got shot. Now this morning I'm following up on the news. They're actually releasing the names of the 3 victims, and then I find out they're 3 9-year-olds. You know, so nobody's
said,
safe.
those 9-year-olds never had a chance to do anything, basically.
The thing that I found disturbing is that I heard that, well, they reported that one of the things they reported was that he, as far as I'm concerned, it's a he was resentful of the fact that he had to attend a Christian school. They're saying that may be the issue. And the other thing that bugged me was when I got home yesterday, they were interviewing a woman who had visited from Missouri, I think.
Right.
And she was in Missouri. I mean, she was in Tennessee because she was a victim of a school shooting, a similar school, and she came to meet with a group.
Right.
And she meeting with the group,
I saw
and then
that.
there's another, and then she comes.
She went off, and I loved her
Yes.
interview because she
Yes.
was just raw. She was upset. She was
said-
passionate. Yes.
She said, "Hey, I traveled to this another state because of this school shootings to meet with the group, and then I end up in another, and then apparently there's another person who has experienced who also experienced 2 school shootings. I mean, it's crazy.
This is nonsense.
Yep.
It's nonsense. She was really enraged, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jamster, because, you know, one of the things that she pointed out, she said to the reporters, "Aren't you guys tired of covering school shootings?" I personally am so tired of it, right? I think yesterday I was busy with work, and then it popped up on my phone as an alert, and I was so distraught because these are children. Like, our children are no longer safe, not even in school. And this was a Christian school. I think they said she got into the building through a window. Obviously, she knew the school because she had attended.
Yeah, she attended. She
you
knows.
know?
And
So she got into the school through a window, and then the church and the police met her, and it was just a whole thing.
I'm here actually snipping through the article as you
But
guys
it's
speak.
just insane because, you know, I always say, why pick the children? Like the shooting that they had in Uvalde. They were 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds and children. You have your own issues. Deal with them on your terms. Leave the children out of it. Like you said, Azard, they never stood a chance. These children haven't even made it to double digits, and I can't imagine what the parents are going through.
And they killed the principal as well.
Right. Yes. One of the teachers that she took out was the principal.
Yeah, that is just alarming on all levels.
Okay.
And you know, when it comes to shooting in school in the U.S., it's no new thing. This happens almost
Every day.
It feels every day because it happens so often. Yes, we're gonna take a little break.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. Black Sands Music Festival presents Knockshore Night, featuring international dancehall sensation Candisie. And Def Jam recording artist Massacre. Live Saturday, April 8th at Sandy Point, St. Kitts. Get your tickets online now with Jadcash or contact 869-664-4179 for info. Black Sands Music Festival returns with Shensia
Now girl can't see me and cause problem. Them a man clown for me walk on
and
them.
Massacre.
Start it and them a run help you walk
Plus
on.
live bands and local DJs. Knockshore Night, Easter Saturday, April 8th. A Palm Nations tour event.
8:35. So, I just noticed that they're calling Black Sand Music Festival now. I didn't notice that before.
A music festival event. So
Yeah.
it's all leading up. to
Oh, that's
music
music
festival.
festival event. Oh,
Right.
I didn't catch that one. Because the thing is, I didn't even notice that bit before, but
Really?
I just heard the music festival.
Well, I'm actually going to the event, so I was paying attention.
Black Sand.
Okay, well, the other thing that needs to be pointed out, well, I think I pointed it out before, but the profilers were saying last night how, usually it's men.
Yeah.
So it's still true to form. It's a man, because this is not something women do. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it and candy coat it. It's a man.
Why did you have to say candy?
Mm.
But to your point,
Yeah.
it's something that I wanted to actually touch on. This whole sexuality issue. Uganda recently passed a law. Now, I find this to be quite extreme.
Yeah. Okay, we have
Sure,
some
go ahead
callers.
before we develop the point.
Okay, we have a
Caller,
caller.
go right ahead.
Yes, good morning, man. How are you guys doing?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Good morning.
We're good. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I want to support that caller earlier who was talking about the gun violence. I think his name is Culture. And okay, one quick note, right? I don't know. Are you guys broadcasting on the volume on your guys' broadcast? Is it coming through low, or I don't know if it's my equipment or what?
It's coming through low.
Sometimes it fluctuates.
Yeah.
It's
It's very low. I normally listen to my headset, and because I'm a driver, I do a lot of driving, and it's sometimes I got to be straining my ears, man.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something to check into if it is,
Yeah.
But anyway, didn't you? I know, a couple of days in a row from last week, there was a specific caller that was calling and writing that lady there. Did you guys still Azard that? When he was gone, he was being ridden by somebody making some critiques.
Yes, unfortunately. I spoke to Azard about it this morning.
Okay,
The
great.
caller I was telling you about that
Oh,
kept attacking
yeah.
me.
Oh, yes. You told me, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of critical sometimes. But anyway, the crime situation, right? We can't really ignore. And right now we are watching that this murder rate, these violent crimes, these gun violence incidents, they are starting to increase again. And there's no way anybody can sit there and be in an illusionary state of mind. If you're outside, if you're sitting on your porch and a bus passes and knocked on the kid in front of you, your eyes already done seen that incident happen. There's no way you can tell yourself, why did I just see a kid just get knocked down? You know what I mean? We cannot sit there and just ignore this stuff, man, because St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider Caribbean, they're depending on so much on this tourism product that the only thing that's going to come out of this, bro, is going to be negativity. And the Federation as a whole, whether it's the government, law enforcement, and even the residents themselves, bro, this is going to probably have to take a different approach. I don't know what the approach is going to be, but the peace treaty that you be talking about, yes, that was instrumental in curbing the crime. However, they did that. Some people may not be clear about how they did it, but the crime was down. So whatever avenues or whatever channels, whatever, however they handled that, the previous government, however they handled that,
the current government right now, they got to look at this stuff closely because if they just sit there and ignore this stuff, man, is nobody else going to get hurt but the government that's in, they're going to get blamed. And then it's going to cast a negative shadow over St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah.
But, you know, we can't ignore this stuff, bro. However, we got to look for the remedies wherever the remedies are. We got to find them. But one thing I know and I observe in Jamaica, me personally, I like the radical approach that they be taking in Jamaica. Yo, when it comes down to it, it's going to be bad boys against cops, yo. That's the way how I see it, man. You know, we in St. Kitts and Nevis, we're too naive and we're too laid back, bro. We got to take a different approach. And when we got to get radical, we got to get radical, bro, because these gang members and stuff, bro, we see what's going on in Haiti. You know, some violence increased in St. Lucia, and now it's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis again. And we got to take a different approach. Whether it's going to be a radical approach, I don't know, man. But, you know, we got to try to get that remedied, man. Otherwise, it's going to hurt that tourism industry. And it's going to put St. Kitts and Nevis in a negative light. And all they're going to do is blackball us and, you know, the 10 most worst dangerous places to travel to the Caribbean. St. Kitts will be right up there, and the St. Kitts and Nevis will be right up there on the list. But good luck to you guys, man. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for calling. Thank you for weighing in, and thank you for sharing your point.
Okay,
Interesting points,
you
huh?
want to finish your point, Candice?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that he touched on was the negative aspect of it and, you know, being radical with it. But I also gathered from his call, and I hope I'm interpreting it correctly, that maybe a modified version of the peace program, because it actually worked and it curbed crime to an extent. I mean, of course, there's never going to be no crime at all, but maybe a modified version.
I mean, when we look at it, and of course, looking at it from the outside, because we not sure what's going on, but it would, from an outside perspective, seem to suggest that something was working before that isn't working now, because if you look at the number of deaths that we've had since the year has begun, we're only in the third month, and in 3 days we've had 3 murders, and we had more before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to find a winning formula. But just before the caller, you know, called in, one of the things I was talking about was radical laws, right? And he did say, you know, he thought we needed to be a bit more radical. And somebody on the broadcast is actually saying maybe we are a bit too laid back. The parliament in Uganda, I think it was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe not that long, passed a law banning homosexuals and LGBTQ persons. And the law says if you're found to be engaging in a relationship like that or engaging in the activity,
I don't even think it goes, it's not even
suspect, right?
It's even if you identify as that,
it's punishable by life imprisonment or death.
Yes.
Right now, that's radical for you, right? That's radical.
Pretty much radical. Pretty much radical. But I'm sure Jamster will like Uganda.
But you know, I feel like
nah, you have me wrong.
For me, I think it's radical because I don't necessarily believe in the death penalty because I've seen so many instances where years after they run tests, they find evidence, they do the DNA, and then the person is not who they're looking for. The person has spent 70 years in jail, and it's not them. So for me, it's like, unless you can prove without the shadow of a doubt that this person committed the crime, then I can't necessarily say I'm for the death penalty. And I feel like someone's sexual orientation, it doesn't have anything to do with the state. Unless they're causing harm. I think we have a call.
We have a call. Caller.
Hey, caller, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Find my neighbor. This morning, I think I said, I sure know that young lady used to live to the back of me.
Yes, it is. It is me, Mrs. Henry.
Something jump over her fence, I jump over my fence.
Yes. Small world.
Yeah, man, because I am here saying, like, showing at this girl.
Yes. And I went to
Bouncing
school with
money.
Aisha.
Yes, going up the road to go to school.
She knows you
Now
well.
I know why you were so athletic. On the back step to the fence.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm proud of you, darling.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
I am still waiting. You see, let me say I don't quite support this sentencing. But we have got to come to acknowledge that the LBQ, whatever, right? They have become such a force that they are trying to determine the policies in people's country. You understand? Everything they're going to blackmail you for. They cause a lot of harm while they may be satisfying their lust and their whatever. Every little thing they come and they, well, you have to pass the law. They don't ask you, you know. They're not concerned if people in your country don't agree. As far as they're concerned, what they want must go. And it is affecting our independent countries, as if we have no right and nothing to say about what we want in our countries. And that's the part I don't like. They're quick to organize boycott against this, boycott against that. When they should understand if they had been through all of this thing, trauma before, why traumatize people? And you said it doesn't affect the country. It does. It actually reduces the birth rate of the country, the survival of the pension schemes. This is the economic part, eh? Got the Bible part, everybody know. If you start to have less children because male going with male, so no reproduction, women with women, no reproduction, well, I suppose we'll have to work until we're 80. We have to look at this thing seriously, you know, and let them stop the boycotting of people's country. They're picking on the countries in the Caribbean through their alignment. The British colonies, the British powers, you have to pass it. You know about Bermuda and other colonies. They don't want to, even in St. Kitts, we don't want to, you know. Because nobody just really persecute people homosexual. But they got to push that you have to pass the anti-buggery law. And you have to do this, and you have to do that. We are being ordered about. You don't think so?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
I do agree with you to an extent. You make some excellent
that's the part
points.
I don't like.
And you know, in a weird way, as much as we're conservative about the alphabet gang stuff, right? We don't like, to your point, Sylvine, we don't go around beating them up and this kind of stuff.
No.
We just let them know what time it is, and we move on. And you have friends, and it has nothing to do with that.
They're
It's
your
like-
family, and so you just accept them.
it's
Well,
like, hey,
everybody got one.
I don't approve of that. Let's move on. Let's go have a beer. End
Yeah,
of
but
story.
when you start to affect the country's economy and you threaten our sovereignty, you know? I don't know why we don't see it so. We can't plan, we can't function. They're now coming under the guise of, what do they call it again in the UN, human rights? Under human rights, are pushing it. I've been to meetings, and I tell them upfront, I know exactly what you're all doing, you know. And then to go and equate it with what black people went through is offensive to black people. Oh, you know, black people think for their human rights. I don't see a dog and a fire hose and a lynching and some of them. It reduces our struggle to a sexual event.
The other
I
thing is,
don't believe in killing them and whatever.
No, absolutely not.
But the state has a right to state its position.
and the thing is, we can't take off all black. That's the thing.
You know, and they could change the thing and go with the girl. I mean, really. Because I am waiting to hear what they have to say. Because they already said they're appealing to the U.S. to sanction the African country. Now tell me. So nobody have their sovereignty outside of the U.S. You see, what they're doing, they're only attracting the wrath of people, you know. Somebody need to tell them.
I've
You
always
can't-
said
when you
that,
learn-
you know. Yes, I've
Huh?
always said that because for me, I see it as sex and sexuality, and I feel like whatever it is you subscribe to in the bedroom, it shouldn't have anything to do with the rest of us. So
No, and
you
then
know,
to-
why are you forcing your beliefs on us in a sense that, okay, this is what you want, this is what you like to do. Fine. I don't feel like sex should be dictated by the state or the church or anybody. So, you know, the whole movement, I feel like at times I'm on different sides of it because at the end of the day, they're humans. But I feel like this whole thing stems from sex, and
Yeah,
I don't understand
it's
why.
gone too far. It has gone too far. I mean, you're picking a poor little country, you understand? Who as they say, is tourist economy. So you get your people who have money and influence, and you lobby. Well, the ships will not come because you all are. We go to America where there's every form of corruption. Every evil you could imagine is there. We don't tell our people don't go. But the least thing, these elements, I have homosexual friends, you know. I met them in university, so you know what I mean?
Me too.
Some of them were not active, but they were. And it bothers me, man. We live in a small little country. And the one about the man with their snorkeling. Often a lot of them have never snorkeled before, you know. They come to the Caribbean and they want to have a good time, you know. They don't have much experience. And so they go and they get themselves into trouble. Maybe the people who have these snorkeling things should give them at least half an hour practice and keep an eye on those who have not snorkeled before. Because this one is not the first one, you know. I think one of them had it over Friggy Bay, or maybe over Fires Bay. Went in and he died. So my heart goes out to the family. But we need to warn all the affiliates of the LGBTQT. Please, when you start to boycott, you're boycotting your father, your mother, your auntie who work in the hotel. You understand? It's more than you get in your rights. And it cannot be compared to the black struggle. It is offensive to black people. All right then, have a good day.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Henry.
Thank
have
you
a
for your
good one too.
contribution.
Okay, 8:52. Let's squeeze in our black sand break.
Yes, the black sand.
Found the sound 99.9. Black Sands Music Festival presents Knock Shore Night, featuring international dancehall sensation Candisie and Def Jam recording artist Massacre. Live Saturday, April 8th at Sandy Point, St. Kitts. Get your tickets online now with Jadcash or contact 869-664-4179 for info. Black Sands Music Festival returns with Shensia
No girl can't see me and cause problem. Them a man clown for me walk
and Massacre.
Start it and them a run help you walk
Plus live bands and local DJs. Knock Shore Night, Easter Saturday, April 8th, a Palm Nations tour event.
Welcome back. You know, I actually really like the call, the comments that Mrs. Henry made, because it shows you several different sides of the coin. And for me, I've always said, you know, the same way you want us to accept you, accept us. I remember some reggae artists like Buju Banton and Sizzler, Capleton, Beanie Man, I think. They were all banned from traveling to the US because of the contents of their songs, right? And my thing is, you want us to accept you, your beliefs, what you subscribe to. But then why are you trying to change us? You know, why can't we just let bygones be bygones? Just like you can't change the color of your skin. You know, you're white, I'm black, we can't change the color of our skin. Then if this is what you want to subscribe to, it's like, for me, tea and coffee, right?
I
like
think
you.
with those songs though, it wasn't a situation where you're trying to influence, but
No.
many of those songs would have instilled violence and would have instilled hate.
No, let me finish
Which
the
ones
point.
you mean then?
I'm talking about the person's beliefs, because Beanie Man has never sung a violent song about attacking homosexuals or persons of a different sexual orientation, not to my knowledge, and I am an avid Beanie Man fan.
I don't think that you went to the beliefs of those persons.
It was the songs, and it went as far, like I remember one of Buju Banton's case, it was a bunch of LGBTQ persons ganging up and doing like a class action and banning him from several countries.
Wait,
Azard, okay. No, yes, maybe some of them were indeed inciting violence, but for me, most Jamaicans do not subscribe to or tolerate or even want to have a conversation about homosexuality. So it was more or less their beliefs. So the way I look at it is, listen, you have your beliefs and I have mine.
I don't think...
Don't try to force your beliefs on me.
I don't think it was an issue of beliefs. Everyone is going to have their beliefs. And what persons believe in, I always said, that is their beliefs, and we ought to respect persons' beliefs, whatever it is, once it doesn't infringe the rights of someone else. I think, and as I can remember, there are some songs that were sung by those individuals that would have instilled violence, that would have incited hatred, and I think on that basis is the reason in which those songs might have been banned, not because of their beliefs, because you can't really ban an individual based on their beliefs.
So then it would have been part of the facts of the case.
I think one of the songs
it
then
was never about violence.
Was to put some gun to somebody's head or something like that. I can't remember all the songs.
I can tell you one of the songs.
Okay.
I personally don't approve of the song.
Okay,
it's called Boom Bye Bye.
Yeah,
right?
so it's
that was the basis of the case. But at no point in time could they prove that any violence occurred or that... Wait, no, hold on. They couldn't prove that any violence occurred. And they didn't state that the reason they wanted the song removed or the artist banned was because he was inciting violence. That's not what the case said. They wanted him banned, and they came against... No, they had a case in Switzerland. A promoter or somebody that... Well, I think it was a promoter. I can't remember his name. I will definitely send it to you.
Definitely send it to me.
But one of the reasons was that, because he was against this group. And they felt like, okay, his song would catch on. At no point in time did they even quote anything like, okay, it was because of violence, it's because he's inciting it, because we have proof that his song has led to persons going out and killing. So yes, that song is definitely a contentious song. I know it's been banned. I personally don't approve of the song because I think, it's a little, extreme.
But we have said before, even last time we were discussing about music, talking about how music and musical content can often influence and encourage persons to do certain things. So it is in that vein that I think that the song might have gathered some sort of contention, not because of an individual's belief, because I would think that you believe in whatever you want to believe once you don't hurt anybody. That is your belief, and I don't think anyone should be strapped or disadvantaged because of his or her belief, once it's not something that is hurting somebody else.
Right, or ostracized, right.
Or ostracizing someone else. But if you have musical content that is going to say, gun to somebody, it might not be members of the LGBT. It could be females. It could be young children. I think it is more the content and the incitement that would have been an issue. Of course, it was incitement against a certain class of individuals, and of course, I think what some people take away is that the class of individuals rather than the incitement itself. But
to your point, I can agree that the song was indeed violent, but from what I've read, because I actually was following it because I was annoyed, like, okay, fine, stop singing the song, and he actually came out, apologized, and said, I am no longer going to sing this song. I am no longer going to have it as part of my set. He hasn't sung that song in years.
I have a problem with that.
And they still had an action against him because
with that.
they felt that maybe, damage was already done. He's attacking a specific section of the population and community. And so they still pursued him. And it's the same thing for Beanie Man. Beanie Man does not have any song, to the best of my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, somebody can call in and please correct me, that incites violence against people of that sexual orientation, the LGBTQ, orientation, right? And Beanie Man had issues. They took art against him. My point is, you cannot force your beliefs, and this goes either which way, right? And this is why I said in my beginning statement that I don't think the church or the state should have any determination with persons and their sexual orientation, because you can't force me to not do it, and you can't force me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very controversial and very always going to spark emotion.
Sensitive.
So we can't have we have our next guest.
Yes, we'll take it up after.
Yes.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We've got Dr. Natalie Osborne coming up.
Yeah.
And also we get a word from our sponsor of this day part. It's Tapwater Caribbean.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tapwater Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
And we're getting ready for our next segment with it's our medical segment with Dr. Natalie Osborne. Let me read in the meantime, a comment that came in here. The issue with the rainbow category is that they want to impose and force their views and beliefs on everyone else. They have no respect and expect the greatest amount of respect. That African country did the best thing to protect their country. They want to have their sexuality, they must keep it private. Okay. So we are getting ready for the start of the segment with Natalie Osborne. She is our resident medical contributor.
are back and we have our favorite doctor in studio. Good morning, Dr. Osborne. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing excellent. Happy to be here with you again on this Tuesday morning as we made the commitment that for the foreseeable future we're going to be here every Tuesday morning discussing some of the most pressing issues in general surgery, because I'm Dr. Natalie Osborne. I'm a general surgeon. So
awesome. And this is our edition of the Weekly Dose. So
all right.
It's always nice to have you in. I hope everyone is tuned in because today's topic is pretty interesting and common.
Yes.
So tell us what we're going to be talking about today, Dr. Osborne.
Oh, we're going to be talking about acute appendicitis, and I'm sure most of our listening audience would have known someone who's had that condition, acute appendicitis, who was diagnosed, treated, had surgery. So yes, it's pretty common, and we're going to go through some of the most common signs and symptoms and what's the treatment and what you need to know if you think that you might have acute appendicitis.
Awesome. So what is appendicitis?
So appendicitis, remember earlier when we started having our discussion, we said anytime you hear itis, you're thinking of something that is, there's some inflammation or infectious process there. So the appendix is nothing more than a small worm-like or tube-like structure that is associated with the colon. It's a part of the colon or the bowels, and if it becomes infected, we get appendicitis. So the organ is called the appendix. If there's an infection or inflammation, we get appendicitis.
Wow. And where exactly is the appendix?
Okay, the appendix is located on the right lower side of the abdomen or the tummy, so you want to keep that in mind. It's associated with the large bowel or the colon. At the first portion there, it's called the cecum. So the bowel, we know, is a segment there that reabsorb the water and form the stool. So most people would have heard the word bowels or intestines. So the appendix is associated with the first portion of the large bowel. It's right there in your right lower side. Okay, and that area, that part or that segment of the bowel is called the cecum. So the appendix is just attached there. It's a worm-like structure. Most of the time it's about, it could be around anywhere between 2 to 20 centimeters. It varies in different individuals.
Wow. And how common is appendicitis?
Appendicitis is very common. It is seen in approximately 10% of the general population. It is the most common surgical emergency. Remember last week we spoke about hernias as one of the most common elective surgery, but in terms of emergency where you have to go in a short bit of time or urgently, appendicitis is the most common surgical diagnosis.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And what about the age group? Where do you find it most common?
It is usually most present in the younger adults, in the young persons from your late teens to your 20s. That is where appendicitis is most common.
Okay. And we have been talking about it, but what are some of the common causes of it?
The common causes of appendicitis. Appendicitis, as we said, is very common. It always starts with some kind of obstruction. We said that the appendix is like a tube. So it's like a small and narrow hollow tube. And usually it has to be blocked. So the opening to the appendix first gets blocked. Then you may ask, what blocks it? Oftentimes it's something like a small hardened piece of stool. We call it a fecalate. So sometimes if the stool becomes so hard, there's a segment that is broken off there, and it becomes so dehydrated, or the water is sucked out of it, it becomes so hard, and it gets right there in the small tubing, it can block the opening of the appendix. It can also be things like if you have a seed that you may have eaten something, you have a seed, and it happened to get blocked in there, it blocks the opening. In certain countries, we have different types of parasites, or those lungworms that can also affect the appendix. And oftentimes in younger population, you can have inflamed or the lymphoid tissue or the lymphatic tissue that is responsible for infection. Some of those lymph nodes within that area become swollen and block off the opening. So it has to start with some blockage. Once it becomes blocked, then the content, because we know that the bowels always secretes a kind of mucus. Okay, and this is kind of a protective layer for the wall to prevent bacteria from inside the colon to get into the bloodstream. So if there is a blockage and the mucus keeps producing, it cannot leave, it cannot exit. And so that appendix starts to swell up or become enlarged, becomes inflamed. And what happens then? You start having irritation of the nerves, they affect the blood vessels, and if it continues to be obstructed like that, it gets larger and larger, leading to all the common symptoms that we would speak about.
Good
Yeah.
grief.
I mean, we already touched it, but let's go into the
What are
symptoms
some
now
of
and
the
then.
symptoms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, most persons, because we have persons come to the emergency room, and oftentimes you really have to listen to the patients, because they would come and say, Doc, I'm wondering if I have appendicitis. I have all these symptoms that I think might be associated with appendicitis. So some of the most common symptoms, it usually begins with a pain. That's the most common symptom. But the pain doesn't begin usually right down in the right lower side, where we said the appendix is located. Usually the pain starts around the tummy area, around the navel. So you'll have a vague discomfort there. Sometimes it's very hard to say exactly what it is. Some persons will say, Doc, it started with a pain there by my stomach. So right around your navel area, you can begin with that pain. And then within 4 to 6 hours, the pain usually moves, or in medicine we say radiates, but moves down to the right side, and that's where it stays, and it becomes constant there. So the most common thing is that you present with pain. Then along with the pain, you can have things like nausea. You feel like you want to vomit, and you may even vomit. And persons would often have things like fever. They'll say, Doc, I was feeling kind of cold, although the day's warm, or I checked myself, my skin was very warm, or I even had a thermometer, and I used it, and I realized that I had a temperature. And then too, they could lose their appetite. Those are what we call the classic symptoms associated with appendicitis.
Good grief. And you know, I'm glad that you actually pointed out those, because sometimes people don't even realize that's what's happening and they ignore the pain. You know, we spoke about that. But how is appendicitis treated?
Well, appendicitis is treated first once you've made a diagnosis, because you have the symptoms, the patient presents, you do your blood tests, things like that, see if there's an increase in what we call your white blood cells. If you're still unsure, an ultrasound may help you. But once you've made that diagnosis, the treatment is surgical. You know, you have to remove the appendix. We call it an appendectomy. That's a scientific term, but it is simply to remove the appendix, because once that appendix becomes inflamed, if not addressed, it can perforate or burst, and that infectious pus and stuff can leak out into the tummy. That you don't want that to happen at all. So you want to address it in a timely manner so that the patient doesn't have any long-term complications. So you can remove the appendix, you treat them with antibiotics and pain medication.
Oh. No, what are the complications? Because I'm listening and my mind is racing, right? What are the complications of appendicitis?
Well, if it is not addressed, then it can become really serious. That appendix, we said, it continues to swell. It's only so much, like a balloon, that you blow up the balloon, it's only so much it can expand before it bursts. So what happens? The appendix can burst or break open. And whatever that bacterial content, that pus that is inside, it leaks out into the belly or the abdomen, and that becomes a serious problem, leading to inflammation all throughout the tummy. We call that a peritonitis, so any kind of infectious there, and that can lead to what we call sepsis, where severe increase in the bacteria gets into the blood and affects several different organs.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of food for thought. I mean, this is something that a lot of persons know about. I think a lot of persons have experienced this. In fact, that you talk about, sometimes I think about the sudden effects of it. Like, sometimes it seems as though it could happen because you might have a pain in that area. You don't treat it, you don't think about it, and then boom, explodes.
Right. You know, for me, I'm happy that she's doing the topic today, because people often love to self-diagnose. I'm guilty, right? Love to self-diagnose. And for the longest while, I wasn't sure which tummy pain would identify appendicitis, right?
Okay.
So I'm glad that you said the area and kind of described some of the pain, some of the symptoms, because as soon as my belly starts up. I'm like, Lord, I wonder what it is. And I'm already like, is it the hernia acting up? Is it appendicitis? And then I start Googling plain doctor. So I'm glad you're here to shed light on this, because I think a lot of persons, and it's something that I feel based on what you described, that anybody can be affected by, but we just don't know what the symptoms are and what we should do. Right? And we touched on some of those.
Yes, so if you feel that you have any pain in the tummy, so you present with a pain in the tummy, and it's mostly in your right lower side, below your navel on that right side, close to your hip, and that pain is consistent there, and you start feeling nauseous or may even vomit, where you feel like you want to vomit, or you vomit and you realize you're just feeling unwell, I would advise that you get that checked out, because it can or cannot be, but the best thing is to get it evaluated. Because we did say that early in the appendix, in the development of the appendicitis, the pain starts around the navel. But that pain sometimes is so vague, so weird, you cannot pinpoint it, okay? And if you say, okay, maybe something, maybe it's not nothing, and you ignore it. But if the pain continues or it relocates down to the right side, you must let that draw your attention and make you think, okay, something is really wrong. I need to get this investigated. So you can go to the hospital, you can see a private physician.
Perfect. I also wondered, the whole bursting aspect that you spoke about, and you alluded to a balloon. And I remember when we did the hernia topic, somebody was talking about it being a ripe, and I was thinking, are they confusing hernia with appendicitis? Because I know you actually said earlier that it can burst.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the ripening they're referring to, and the bursting, because I know that people, they often say, it's not ripe, it's gonna burst, whatever.
I think that is just a scary thought. It's like you have a ticking time bomb ready to go, and it's fatal.
That's why, as a male, you should visit the doctor more often.
But usually, the good thing is that we have the knowledge, and that is our job here, to educate the population. So if they start having any symptoms that make you suspect that you have acute appendicitis, it's always so easy. No one in the Federation can say they have no access to health care. We have the health center, we have the Poxon, we have Mary Charles, we have the Joseph and France Hospital that you can present there. Always to make an exclusion, just to be sure. If you're unsure, you cannot stay home and say, well, I don't know, I don't want to go. It's best to go and get your fears, allayed, or maybe it is so, or maybe they can reassure you and say, okay, this doesn't seem like acute appendicitis.
Fair enough. So check it out. And I think you touched on it, but I just wanted to, I guess, rehash it. What happens when it actually bursts, or what's the word? Rupture.
Rupture.
Right.
Okay, so burst. If it becomes burst, or it explodes or rupture, the content inside it, which is usually pus at that point, with dead bacteria and dead cells, it leaks it out, and it's in the abdomen there freely. And then you start having pain all throughout the tummy, and the pain becomes so severe. You may have your tummy becomes bloated. You may start to feel really sick or lethargic. You just don't have that energy. And we don't want it to get to that point where it becomes so complicated, because then it makes a surgery that can be through a smaller incision becomes a major laparotomy, where you have to open the abdomen completely down the midline, and that gives you leads to much more post-op complication throughout the course.
Wow, this is an intense topic. No, I just feel like, a lot of the times we don't realize the seriousness of what's happening with our bodies, and we just ignore it and figure, in the Caribbean, we love to say, it's gas. And again, I'm guilty. Like, as soon as I get a pain, the first thing I run to do is drink tea. And then, as my sisters often tease me, take a shower, right? So I'm like, all right, if gas is not the problem, then what is it? But I'm happy that you're emphasizing that we should get it checked out, because
it never hurts, just finding out.
Go get it checked out.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if there are any callers, and I want to encourage persons, if it is that you have any questions at this point in time, the numbers are
Is it 662-980?
4660989.
4660989, 7620989,
And 662.
and 6620989. So guys, it's 0989.
Right.
Like 98.9.
Remember,
Yes,
the,
yes.
the mnemonic is this
Right.
frequency.
We both just made the connection.
98.9.
I just couldn't remember if it was
Okay.
662, 762, or what. But I remember the last digits being 0989.
But guys,
0989.
if you're experiencing any sort of pains or symptoms based on what the doctor just
There's a
described,
caller?
please call.
Mm-hmm.
Call or go ahead. Okay. I guess we'll get another one.
Yes.
No more at the moment, but as soon as we do, I'll let you know.
Now is the perfect time to
Well,
call.
here we go.
Yes, you have the doctor in house.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, what I would like to find out is this. If the appendix is something that every individual is born with, what is the complication once it is removed? How does that gland or part of the body helps protect if it's removed? And the second thing is, with all the technology that they have, since I have known myself, the honest recommendation is surgery. It has not any scientific device has been created where it can be injected into the appendix and excrete whatever toxic waste, whatever is there. I mean, with all the advanced surgery techniques, I mean, that's the honest way up to death still is to remove it by surgery. Listen off here.
Okay, excellent questions. I like those two questions because that's something we never touched there. He first asked if we remove the appendix, what would happen to the body? The appendix itself is what we call a vestigial organ. It doesn't really have a function. So you do not miss it if it is gone. It can just be something that most people think is just a bother, because even at times too, it is indicated if you're inside the tummy, you're doing a surgery for any other cause. Even sometimes you're doing a surgery for gynecology, you're down in the pelvis, and the appendix is easy accessible. It is indicated that you can remove it so the person later doesn't have acute appendicitis. And I say that for our audience to understand that removing the appendix does not affect your life in any way, shape, or form. It is not, it's not an essential organ or structure that your body needs, so you would not lose it. Then the other part of the caller's question would say, with the advance in technology, if there's any other way of treating the appendix besides removing it. To this point, no. Usually, I'll give you an example. If you have a cut or you have a sore and it becomes infected, or you have an area that is black or dead, your treatment is what? Is to remove that dead area. Similarly, the appendix, once it becomes inflamed, it is of no longer any value, and you do not want it to go on to a complication. But there has not been any technology where you can inject in it and it just resolves like that. We said earlier, once the opening becomes blocked and it starts to become inflamed, it goes bad. It starts to become dark, it loses blood supply, and it becomes swollen, and the tissue starts to die. So you just have to remove it. So there is no treatment as of yet. We do not know into the future that can reverse an acute appendicitis. And as it's an organ that you would not miss, it is removed without very little complications.
Thank you for that. I actually like his question because...
Yes, I did too.
Yeah. What happens after I remove it? Am I going to be affected? No.
No, you're not. Mm-mm.
And I like the answer that, if possible and you can remove it before, prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
I think I like that option because I don't really want it to start acting up. So if necessary.
So if it is you're there doing another procedure and it is easily accessible, it can be removed. Go for it. It can be removed without anything, and it is documented in the scientific journal. So it is we call that doing an incidental appendectomy. So you're there, and incidentally you remove it. But you clearly would have to inform your patients that you remove the appendix. So if they're having pain in the right side of the tummy, they're not thinking that it's that it's the appendix.
Right. It's probably just something else.
Something else.
Right. Interesting. Oh, thank you for that call, because he had me thinking a whole bunch of other stuff now. So thank you for that.
I think the today went by very quickly because I think it's something that many persons are aware of, and I think that this topic is something that is very common, and perhaps one that persons would have already been used to.
I want to address something because persons will come to the emergency room and they would say, oh, I've been to the emergency room twice, or I've had to come back, and they misdiagnose me with appendicitis, or they miss that I had acute appendicitis. Remember, I alluded to earlier that oftentimes the pain begins around the navel region, around that upper part of the tummy. And it is a vague pain, and it's somewhat non-specific. What do you mean? You can't really pinpoint it. It just that you don't feel well. It hurts, but it's not so specific as when it moves down to the right side. So my advice is to the persons that if you present and it's an early form of appendicitis, do not be so hard on the physician. Sometimes you may not be able to diagnose it at that point. But we always want to encourage our patients. The hospital is open 24 hours. You can always return. Because if you present in a very early stage and you just feel unwell and you have some upset stomach or some nausea, it may not be clear at that point until later on. But usually by the time you have that pain in the right lower quadrant and you have any vomits, it is always best to go back and have it evaluated again. So it's not necessarily that the diagnosis was missed. Sometimes in the earlier presentation, it is hard to get a clear picture of what is going on.
Noted. Yeah. There's absolutely no harm in returning.
No, there's
because
no harm
like you
at
said,
all.
the pain moves, right? So it may start off at your navel, and for us Caribbean people, we might think it's gas.
Yes.
It's not necessarily gas. Go get it checked out.
Yes.
And then you find that the pain has moved. You can go back. Go back and get a second opinion. Get another review.
Get another review.
Lovely. Oh, we have a comment. The appendix helps with good bacteria in the intestines. There is a good use for everything in the body.
The appendix help with what? Repeat
Good
that, please.
bacteria in the intestines. There is good use for everything in the body.
There are good bacteria in the intestines, but remember we said that the appendix is just a small tube-like structure. Removing the appendix, you've got the other normal gut flora that is there in the 1.5 meters of the large colon. So the bacteria that is there in the appendix is similar to the bacteria that is there in the entire rest of the colon. So you do not lose anything.
Okay, great.
Do
Thank
not
you
lose
for
anything at all.
addressing that. Right. Because I know you did point out that you're not going to miss it, and the body's not going to function any differently.
No, absolutely not. And the appendix, we said it can be anywhere from 2 centimeters in some persons to as much as 20 centimeters. You can have it is quite variable in size, but it's such like a tube, like a pencil-like structure, such a small structure there. But it can become so bothersome if it becomes inflamed and leads to grave problems. But you do not lose anything by not having the appendix.
I'm glad you said that when you said the pencil-like.
Yes.
Because remember during your presentation you said a seed, and I'm thinking that has to be a big seed. But now it's just, if it's pencil-like, then it makes perfect sense.
You see the size of your pen, yes, or even smaller, narrow. So the opening or the lumen, the opening inside is a very narrow opening. So I don't know, you have what you call a pumpkin seed, a watermelon seed, anything like that, just happen to get into the right place. Or what we call a fecalate, which we said hardened stool. A hardened piece of stool get right there and it blocks it off.
Oh, wow.
Well, now it makes perfect sense. Because in my head, I'm trying to envision this tube, but I didn't, anticipate the size. And so when you held up your pen and you said pencil, like now I'm thinking, all those watermelon seeds that we inadvertently swallow, that could definitely be a contributing factor.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation today. I actually really enjoyed it. I feel informed, and now I'm going to be looking for symptoms.
Please stay away from the seeds.
But we also said, I don't want anybody to be so fearful now they're not going to eat their watermelons and get their good fruits. But you want, and it happens most of the time, it's going to be because of a fecalate. We cannot control having this stool, like hardened stool formation. But we encourage our audience, of course, to drink lots of water, eat their fruits and vegetables, so that the time the fecal matter stays in the colon is shortened. Because anytime you have a diet rich in fiber, in your fruits, your vegetables, the food moves to the colon much easier, and it would decrease the chance of any stool material to stay there and become so hard that it can block the appendix.
So you're saying that frequent bathroom breaks would assist in not getting it then?
Of course, ultimately, because if that hardened stool is not left there and it is pushed forward and it's evacuated, you would lessen your chance of having it block in the appendix.
Sounds like a plan. So good diet and
good diet,
fiber,
and fiber in your diet. But we
like a
know
plan.
too, and it is well documented that good diet resolves a lot of things. Exercise, and contribute to overall wellness.
Yes, and that's a trend I've seen in a lot of your presentations. Obesity and good diet, healthy eating habits, exercise. You know, those are some of the things that keeps being repeated. So it's a signal to us. You know,
you can't outrun a bad diet.
No, it catches up to you at some point.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming in today and educating us, Dr. Osborne.
It's always a pleasure.
We'll see you next week.
The time goes by so quickly when we're here. We enjoy ourselves.
It's just
together.
a weekly dose, man.
Yeah, weekly dose. But our audience will keep coming back. I like that.
Definitely. So tune in next week for your weekly dose with Dr. Natalie Osborne.
Yes.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Thank you so much. Yes.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Hey kids, drink healthy.
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
Rounds is for you and me. Giving back to
It's 9:35 and we're back with Island Tea, guys.
Good morning to those of you now joining us. We had quite an interesting segment there on the appendix.
Yeah, I know it's a very popular. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We
And
got
have a
caller
call.
already.
Hello, good morning.
We have 2 calls.
Hello.
Hi,
Who
good
was
day.
that one?
Hi, caller. Go right ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, Island Tea.
Good morning.
Okay, give thanks to all the information flowed so far. Yeah?
Definitely, definitely.
Go ahead.
Concerning the killing in our midst, the black on black killing, black on black killing, and the tourism sector. We don't like when we hear people say, you say, I'm going to mash up tourism sector. I mean, white people don't care how much we kill one another, you know. Them still like a come, you know. So we don't know these things, man. How we just no see these things there. Jamaica. We see tourists in Jamaica like, wow. Kingston, that means to come Kingston, but they start to come now. But no business. That won't the tourism sector nothing. If a tourist get dead, it's a different picture that. You see me?
Yes.
So we should be concerned about when these things are happen, and not talk about tourism sector. Yeah, we not go there. It's sad when we go there. Let me talk about the mothers. Let me remember the wombs who bring these children here who are dead in them kind of manner. You see me? And while we depend that we want to remind the woman them that the onus is on them to remove the guns out of the hands of them and those who have knowledge about gun owners that man don't have. Blessed love.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you for your contribution.
Interesting point of view.
He makes a very good point, actually. I think it's self-explanatory.
You know, I didn't even realize, I should say, and I'm glad he brought it to light. Mothers play a very vital role. I think we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Caller, you're live.
Yes, good morning, Azard.
Good
And
morning.
the nice lady voice you.
Good morning.
And the best DJ in the world. You know his music. I want to touch where my brother Eli left off. We want to see when things like that happening in communities where, our populated are kids. We want to see communities now start to demonstrate and show these people we're not tolerating this. Since we're not brought you to more radical, because people who feel like they could do the job and can't do the job ain't stepping up to the plate, they ain't saying nothing, and your commissioner take over. We want a demonstration in Irish Town, McKnight, and we inviting the commissioner, inviting the representative for the constituents. We're not playing around with this. We want to see Monkey Hill do the same, and as Brother Eli X just said, the mothers got to step up. We don't want blood running in this place again like this. You realize all of a sudden everybody gone dormant? The people who used to be the airways, when it was under some sort of control, they gone dormant. Like, as they're telling the youths, them, well, go ahead, man. We ain't minding we there now because we could go over eat the best steaks with the big comrades them in the Philippine area and the southeast area. They don't care. But we are calling on these youths to come on, man. Come, let me reason. Let me reason out this condition. If your heart is affected, come, let me reason. Joseph tell you so. Culture tell you so.
come, man, come. Let me reason about this condition because it ain't nice. And I'm warning these fellas down in Church Street, you know. We have a thriving tourist industry. Lord, I make it better when I walk out down there. Come out and say something. Let these men know I ain't approve of what's going on. I'm looking for the commissioner to make a serious statement. You're fresh to the job. Don't operate like the West. Come different. Have a good day. Blessed love.
Thank you so much for that contribution. The youths, those are the ones endangered. Those are the ones that are actually on the front lines, so to speak. You know, when you do some investigations, you find out those are the ones committing the crimes and those are the ones that are suffering.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's our population, it's our country. So we all have a part to play in it. Everybody needs to acknowledge that fact and then do our part to see how best we can curb this.
Yeah, it's just.
It's insane.
it
Like
just
you said, we're in March.
Yeah, it just started up again.
Thank
Let's
you so
take
much for
another
your
call. Caller, go right ahead.
Yes, indeed. Everybody, every took months and bagay, as they would say. We talked about Jamaica a while ago. We want to extend our wishes to Teacher Sheila Morris. We leave the Federation hours ago, just a day or two ago, on the way to Jamaica with students from Fitzroy Bryan College to observe the culture there in Jamaica and all the goodness that is there in that plantation island. Adding to what culture we have here in this plantation island. Wish them all the best and travel safely, going and coming, you know, and bringing all of the good vibes that Jamaica have when you all return. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Thank you so much for that. I know Mrs. Morris from sixth form, so safe travels indeed, and we look forward to what they come back to share with us. Sometimes it's good to get another point of view, you know, go see the way of life in Jamaica, experience the culture. You come back to appreciate what you have and maybe ideas on how best we could curb some of the issues facing us here. So.
Indeed. And Jamaica is like a university, you know. I'm talking about UVI, I'm talking about the whole of Jamaica. University, and you charge Jamaica Street there, I mean, the amount of things that you can, you know, absorb.
Yes.
Yeah. And you just differentiate, you know. The bad things, you just dash it away, and the good things, you just embrace it, tenaciously embrace it, and share it forwardly. Blessed love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blessings.
I'm seeing something that says breaking news. 15
Yes.
rescued from capsized boat 12 miles off St. Kitts coast.
Yes, it seems as though the Coast Guard were called out early this morning. I think it was about 3. And they had to do a search and rescue for 32 individuals, they said, of unknown nationality traveling on the sailing vessel, Jenna B. 16 persons were recovered and removed from the water at about 300 hours, and 1 appeared to be dead. This incident occurred about 12 nautical miles south of Connery. And so it's still being investigated, but
reports have said that they were en route to St. Thomas.
you notice that they said they were looking for 32 persons, but only 16 were recovered. So I am really hoping that they find the others. I think, unfortunately, 1 has already perished.
And it says 12 nautical miles, so that means they were well out to sea. But clearly close enough to St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good grief.
A comment here says, I think it's about time Dr. Drew and his cabinet take a second look at that foolish CARICOM bidding. Nobody should be smuggled in our country, and these so-called judges and lawyers want to try or give people rights to stay in a country that they came in illegally. I'm saying to my government, stand up for your country. Your country's right. Otherwise, more and more is on their way. What nonsense? Okay. And
This is in relation to the Coast Guard
yeah, it's
comment?
on Facebook. Yeah, and then it says, St. Nevis already doesn't have enough jobs for its people. What are we going to do with them? They will only be a burden on the country. I support your call 101%. St. Kitts Nevis should not become the new land of refugees, free for all. That one CARICOM union business or whatever it's called should be changed. It's only benefiting one set of people.
But isn't it that was it you that just said that Azard that they were headed to St. Thomas?
We both.
The boat was headed to St. Thomas.
That's what it says in the report.
Right. So is it that maybe they took off from St. Kitts?
No, they say
No,
it seemed like they were coming from Antigua.
And maybe the boat capsized or something. But I don't know why people are assuming that you know that
they were coming here.
Which is not to say they weren't, but you know, we shouldn't. Probably
I guess we'll only find out after investigations are completed because they're still conducting not only the search and rescue,
allegedly carrying around 30 passengers from Antigua to another Caribbean island is believed to have capsized early this morning.
Okay, so they originated in Antigua. They were probably just passing by here on their way to wherever.
A spokesman for the Antigua and Barbuda Coast Guard confirmed they were monitoring the situation following the incident said to have happened shortly after midnight.
Okay. Wow. Let's take another call.
I really hope they find the other bodies and they're still alive. That is just insane.
Hi, caller. Go ahead. Hi, caller. Island.
Thanks for taking our call. This is the Trinity call. You know, when we get the information that you just shared, that the item just shared, it is when we get it this morning. That information, when we get it, we say, wow. We sure it's our kid and kin, you know. We do all the thing we say in the head. It's time for the struggle to end, you know, as Bob Marley son has sing, you know. It's time for the struggle to end because struggle make people have to go through these things upon the seas, you know. Over and over and over and over again. People not just jump on these boats and it's time for the struggle to end, you know. It's time for the struggle to end. It's time for the struggle to end. Just you know.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably
true.
right. They were probably in search of a better opportunity.
Yeah.
Because why else would they leave? 32 of them. I would like to know the size of the vessel because now I'm thinking, just based on what he just said, you know, a bunch of them on a vessel leaving Antigua, trying to get wherever in hopes of a better life. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, hey, good morning.
Hello. Yeah, good morning. Is the culture back again?
Hi.
No, it is our Coast Guard that went to reach to their rescue?
Yes, that's what it's saying. That's what the article is saying.
Okay. Yes, St. Nevis Coast Guard reached to their rescue and they said they were on their way to St. Thomas.
Well, I'm not sure where they were on their way to. I think one of the articles Azard was looking at suggested that, but we still don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But do we know?
The article was printed. That's why Azard could have read it.
Do we know where it was coming from? That hasn't been.
No, it said Antigua.
Yeah.
No,
it says that it had passengers from Antigua, but it never said where it originated from. Yeah, he said, I suspect they had 30 passengers from Antigua.
Yeah. So what do you think they would have said if it was U.S. Coast Guard when reached to their rescue? Where do you think they would have said they're going? Not St. Thomas. They would have said they're coming St. Kitts because they were 12 nautical miles south of St. Kitts. So they're closer to St. Kitts than St. Thomas. So in other words...
But what is unclear? Is it a passenger ship that's just maybe doing some commuting, or is it?
Okay,
is
if
it a
I could
refugee type
interject, it says a multinational search, and this is Loop News. A multinational search and rescue operation is on the way for 15 people who are currently missing at sea in waters between St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua. According to reports, a vessel named Genevieve was sailing from Antigua to the U.S. Virgin Islands with 32 passengers on board when it capsized and sank about 12 nautical miles south of Connery, St. Kitts, shortly after midnight. So this article gives a little bit more information that it was sailing from Antigua to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Well, The only boat now I know
Probably
to
legal.
travel between these islands is cargo boat. If it is not cargo boat, people running away from the country, and these smuggling boats.
Yeah.
Otherwise than that, if they're not coming in illegal, they're going to the airport and coming on plane.
And this article was published by the Loop News just 6 minutes ago. Like, just when we started
Still
talking
developing.
about it.
Yeah, still developing.
Anyway, give thanks.
Thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, because you realize the original article didn't really give a lot of context. So we
Yeah.
were assuming a refugee type situation where it's now sounding like
No, I didn't
like
assume a
like
refugee,
alleged.
you know?
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I
Well-
was assuming what the second caller, the caller before Culture said. They were leaving in search of a better situation because, and I think Culture just alluded to that as well. There are only really cargo boats traveling between this area. If you're coming in the legal way, you're going to be on a plane. I mean, no one wants to jump to conclusions, but it's midnight. It's 32 of you on a boat. Where in God's name are you going?
True, I'm asleep. True.
Right? You know, so it sounds very sketchy. But then again, why are they doing that? What would cause that?
You're right. I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Good point.
So
Boy, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
that's crazy. I really hope they find the others. I really hope that it's just this one fatality that they're announcing.
Call, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, Journey here. Now, it should just say it's time for the struggle to end. But guys, we as a collective, I am speaking in this context, as a collective, we so got to be aware of our awareness. We also have to be conscious of our consciousness. The struggle that we are going through was imposed upon us by the system, and the system is global. It's a global system, and we are in this matrix together. Now, in order for the struggle to end, we have to recognize who imposed this system upon us. And I've mentioned this earlier. We as a collective have to create our own edifice of power, our own edifice of autonomy, our own edifice of strength, recognizing that the system or the powers that impose what we now have, they are the one who interrupted and disrupted us, and they have created what is now benefiting for them. We're being divided. It's working for them. So we have to be aware of our awareness and become conscious of our consciousness. I hope I'm making sense, guys. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank
So we
you.
just encourage persons, if you want to get details on the story, it's not much, but it's still developing. You could go to Loop News and you'll see the article about what has happened.
And it's important, that we don't speculate.
Yeah, it's important that we keep,
because we don't know.
yeah, we don't know what happened. It's important that we don't speculate. So we just take it as is. The information is not much as yet. And without going into speculation, just let's look at what
We have another
details we
caller.
have. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, Azard.
Yes.
Sometimes you gotta speculate, see? Because for how this thing looking, it look to me like people in the different Caribbean territories them entertaining these people move about for money. Because how in the world 30-something people, sure the boat is a small boat. You understand what I'm saying? And it's a concern, and people got to speculate. Because we children here got a good life, you know. They don't come up here like how we come up, you know. You understand? We working hard and doing what we could do. We only resources in we little country. Not for people to come in and reap benefit. We all is one Caribbean. But come in proper. And then we do it proper.
you
So
know-
what do you mean? People just come in
Okay.
here, diseases and just...
Okay, wait, hold
No,
on.
we don't want that.
I understand.
We want it. We want it to be done good.
I understand the sentiment. Caller. Caller, I understand the sentiment, but we have to wait until we get more information. We can't make assumptions, regardless of the fact that there might be certain trend lines that have been happening with similar incidents. We have to wait until we get more information. We cannot assume.
Yeah, we have to go with what has been found. Yeah.
Okay,
There's so many things happening this.
You guys know the Prime Minister is no, the Premier is having his press conference this
Monthly
morning.
press conference.
Yes, from roughly 10 o'clock.
Okay. Well, we're almost out
Yeah.
of time, anyways. But like you said, Azard, there is a lot to unpack this morning, and we definitely tried to start on a positive note, but sometimes life happens.
Life happens, and the stories that we've had, it's been. I don't know, man. You know, sometimes you're just at a loss of words, and you look at all that is happening, and you're like, wow, you know.
Condolences to
Condolences,
the person.
especially one has lost their life.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about the other ones as well. So including that person that perished in the boating accident,
let's
but
hope
then
that
the shooting victim
you know,
from last night.
I meant to say.
I mean, you know, his mom, his whatever surviving family he has.
Was it?
Yeah, go
did
ahead,
they give an
Johnson.
age? Did they give an age for the person who?
No.
Last night?
No, they weren't.
No, they didn't. Remember, it's still developing.
Okay.
So
Because I've noticed a pattern. It's not that, but a lot of times these tourists who tend to die in these circumstances, a lot of times it tends to be natural causes where they're just actually maybe just snorkeling and
oh, you mean the tourist? I think they said he was 48. I can pull up back the article.
Oh,
but
you mean
so that's another person that we need to extend condolences to. I was just going through the list in my head. The victim from last night, the tourist from yesterday, now this boating incident.
Indeed, condolences to the family. The
Families
loss
of everybody affected. Jeez.
Loss of a loved one is never easy. Never easy.
So we'll definitely try to end on a positive note. We will bear in mind what is actually happening in our community. We'll keep those persons in our thoughts and our prayers that, you know, suffered losses, and we will continue to pay attention to what's happening in relation to this story.
And let's pray for those families and loved ones.
Remember, guys.
We also have to pray for our country. You know, this disturbing trend that's developing now. That's what it's like a third one in like a week, days.
Couple days. The one from Saturday and then the one from last night.
It is reminding me of times of yesteryear. You know.
Well, I don't want to go down that path again.
Okay,
I
so
don't
guys,
even
let's
want to think about
let's
that.
squeeze in because the phones are ringing off the hook. Okay, that person hung up. I don't know what's going on. Another thing, one of the things I wanted to talk about, we could probably revisit it tomorrow. Was I remember when we talked about the people being peeled off from China. I mean, from Taiwan to China. And I remember I was.
When you said people being what?
Countries being peeled off from Taiwan. Like being made.
I don't even want to know what you heard.
I thought he said people being peeled off.
I heard peeled, yes.
Yeah, peeled off.
But I understand the analogy.
Yeah.
No, but when he said countries, I'm like, okay.
I said people. Well, yeah, okay, but countries being peeled off from.
I was thinking very literal. I was like, what did you
peeling off the skin?
We probably need to look at this a little deeper.
But
I
was
thinking
looking.
it was money. I was thinking it's probably money, and that's probably what it is. Apparently, Honduras, the newest defector. Defector to the dark side.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Defector.
To the dark side.
Sounds very KGB oriented. Have you been watching too much Blacklist? Good grief.
I mean, there are different sides to the story. You know, I was looking at one documentary, talking about the impact of Russia and Ukraine and the effects of the war, and you know that Russia has not been able to basically go through Ukraine or win
penetrate
in the way that they expected.
as they expected, and it had a trickle effect in the article, or not the documentary, because they were talking about China's now hesitant to do the same to
Taiwan.
Yeah, to Taiwan.
Because they've
there's a
seen-
similarity,
Yes.
They've
but they're
seen the
saying
reaction.
they're seeing now
It'll be
the
much
reaction.
worse. It'll be much worse for them.
Yeah, and they're seeing, well, Russia being so strong still, because the U.S. is sending in aid
Arms and stuff.
and arms for the Ukraine, and I think a statement made was that if anyone was to go and trouble Taiwan, that the U.S. they would be more forthcoming than they are
Yes,
with
yes,
Ukraine.
they
So
would be,
Japan says the same thing
because,
too.
Yes,
Yeah,
Japan, South Korea, Australia.
So the documentary was looking at, the rivalry between Russia and Ukraine and the response, and why China would be hesitant to invade Taiwan in the same way that Russia has tried to invade.
And then there would be
Ukraine.
some and then we're not even talking about the logistical challenges, because the strait between
Mhm.
China and Taiwan, it tends to be very rough, and it's also deep. It's
Mhm.
about 80 miles, I think.
But it's not
And-
it's not as cut and dry as we
It
may
isn't.
assume, because
No,
this
it isn't.
morning I saw that the former president of Taiwan is actually on a visit to China right now. And
Well,
the
he's
current
always been
president,
he's always been pro-China, so that's a problem.
well, the current
That's one of the
president
reasons why he
is not
lost.
happy, and he actually took
Yes.
students with him, claiming that it was an exchange and
Mhm.
education, and he's going to go visit his family graves, and the whole
Yes.
gamut of excuses.
Yes.
But it's just causing some disturbance
Yeah, because he's
in Taiwan.
pro-China. That's why he lost.
So
That's why he lost the election, because he's pro-China.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not they're not
Yeah.
quite done yet.
Yes,
So we'll
it's-
stay tuned for that as well. But I think we've run out of time
there's
this
still,
morning.
There's still talking about Russia and Ukraine before we go. There are rumors of the president of Russia not being in the best condition.
No,
And-
Putin.
Yeah.
That's true.
I saw that on the news,
Yeah.
and they're using. Oh wow, they have signals for everything as to why they're assuming. Because I feel like it's a Kim Jong Il situation where Kim disappears for a little bit, and then we assume he's dead and he's sick and ill in health and the ankle and all kinds of stuff, and then Kim comes back and he's posing off, waving, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm gonna bomb you."
And
And
he looks-
at
he looks
one point
fine.
in time, they thought that Kim was going and that his sister would take charge. And there was a documentary saying that his sister is even far worse than he
Yeah,
would be.
yeah. He recently threatened South Korea like 2 days ago
Yeah.
and sent
Yeah.
off more missiles.
But I don't know why they think he's a pretty young guy, still in his 30s. So I don't know where he's still in
You
his
see
30s.
all of these world leaders who have so
Alien
much,
health.
who has so much influence and so much weapons of mass destruction at their disposal.
I think I would have to see that. Remember the last weapons of mass destruction? Yeah, they never found any. Saddam is dead. But we're going to end on a positive note. So, guys.
Were we ever going to end on a positive
we
note
are.
this morning?
We're going to try. So, we're going to try. So, the quote.
Yes.
Don't inject
I
any
was
negativity.
I was coming with a kind of mean, positive note.
Definitely, I'm not gonna let you in.
No, a pro-Ukraine, mean.
Go for it, Jamster.
Remember the next show is Spin Cycle, so
Let him do it then, right?
No.
Go.
I'm saying that he could understand if it
General
over. If,
Rasputitsa.
what?
For the love.
What is that?
Okay. There's this kind of. If you notice, Russians and Ukrainians have a dark sense of humor, right?
Yes.
Are
you speaking Russian?
We're never going to end the show this morning.
But we have Spin Cycle next, and he hosts it, so he doesn't mind.
What happens as it gets closer to spring, and the thaw happens, it causes a big problem for Russia's tanks and so on, the mud. So they call it General Rasputitsa in Russia and Ukraine. That's the Russian/Ukrainian word for mud, Rasputitsa.
You learn something new every day.
So the Ukrainians they're just hoping that there's a big thaw, because the weapons that they're getting from the West, they're much better in the mud than the Russian equipment. So yeah.
I guess we all just want the
So
war
that's
to be
my
over.
positive.
Yeah,
that's my
that's it.
positive.
That's his positive
That's
thing.
my positive
My
affirmation.
positive thing, I just want this war to cease.
For me, I'm happy to be here and alive.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the small blessings. So, one
Being
small
alive is a big
positive
blessing.
thought, exactly.
A big blessing.
One
especially
small
what's
positive
happening.
thought in the morning can change your whole day. So, let's look for something positive that
I'm
happened
alive.
this morning.
I'm thinking about that little
and
boy.
focus
that
on
you s-
that.
you spoke
And I'm
about,
saying
yes.
this exactly because if you take away nothing else from the show this morning, I want you to remember that it just starts with a small thought
Yeah.
and it can change your entire day.
And one positive that we are alive, as Celine
Agreed.
Dion's song says, I'm alive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right? Some of us are not so fortunate to wake up this morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
Have a good one today, everyone. And we'll meet you back here tomorrow for some island tea.
We will.
Yeah, God's willing.
And hope you guys tune in for the Prime Minister. I keep saying the Prime Minister. The Premier's
The premier.
press
Mhm.
conference. Yes, that should be
Mhm.
starting shortly.
Yeah.
So I'll see you guys tomorrow. So you guys take a look at that. I want to discuss that
What's that?
China-Taiwan
Yeah, we can.
rivalry thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the we're it's down to 13 countries now. We're one of them. So it bears discussion, especially when you consider we were the first country, I think, in the OAS.
Yeah, in 1983 we had our ties with
started,
Taiwan.
so bears discussing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very
you guys have a
Yeah.
great day.
I'll look at
You
some more
too.
documentaries
Who's
as
nice?
well to add into the discussion.
Yes, okay. Okay, guys.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. Black Sands Music Festival presents Knockshore Night, featuring international dancehall sensation Candisie.
Look in the mirror, say yes, I'm the best, best.